My dear friends, we've gathered together once again. Now settle into your favorite chair and get comfortable, because today I have something special to share with you all. As I prepared this content, I kept thinking about valued viewers like you. Your likes and comments inspired me to give it my very best. I know time is precious. That's why I want to make these minutes truly worthwhile for you. If today's video brings even a small smile to your face or brightens your day just a little, that would make me so happy. Now join me on this journey. But remember, your support is what keeps this channel going. Your likes, comments, and especially your subscriptions give me the strength to continue. Shall we begin? I'm certain this special content I've prepared for you today will bring some wonderful surprises. It was a perfectly British day. Cloudy skies, polite coughs, a gentle breeze that smelled like tea, history, and very mild disappointment. And standing dead still outside Buckingham Palace, as always, was one of Britain's finest. The Royal Guard. Unmoving, emotionless, a monument made of man. The symbol of order, tradition, and total silence. And then, from across the square, chaos arrived. Brrrr. The sound hit like a sonic boom. Tourists turned. Pigeons scattered. Even the Queen's Corgis reportedly barked in unison 3 miles away. Charging into frame like a caffeinated cheetah in heat was none other than iShow Speed. Wearing a Union Jack bandana, oversized sunglasses, and a pair of Crocs, one red, one neon green, Speed was vibrating with kinetic confusion. Is that him? Is that the dude? The royal guy? Brew, look at him. Speed sprinted toward the guard like a linebacker with a camera crew, a crowd of fans chasing behind, phones raised, ready to record whatever historic disaster was about to unfold. The Royal Guard didn't flinch. He stood tall, holding his ceremonial rifle, his bearskin hat swallowing the top half of his body like a furry black hole of discipline. Speed, however, was already having an existential crisis on the cobblestones. Why is he so still, bro? Is he real? Is he a statue? Is he AI? He clapped his hands in front of the guard's face. Hello. Are you a NPC? Blink if you're in a simulation. The tourists were loving it. Laughter echoed through the square. A woman dropped her tea. Somewhere, a tour guide quietly whispered, "We don't get paid enough for this." Speed got closer. Too close. Like royal protocol violation close. He stuck his face right up near the guard's chin. Do you know who I am, bro? I'm Speed. Speed. I made Ronaldo bark. And then, of course, he barked. Loud. Multiple times. The pigeons came back just to leave again in fear. Still, the guard didn't move. Not an inch. Not a flicker of emotion. He might as well have been made of granite and honor. Okay. I respect that, Speed whispered, backing up, eyes wide with theatrical awe. He built different. But the moment of peace didn't last. Because Speed had a new idea. A bad one. He pulled out his phone. Chat. I'm 'bout to do it. I'm 'bout to make him laugh. On God. And then began what historians would later call the 10-second Try Not to Laugh Challenge. Royal Edition. Speed danced. He twerked. He did backflips in place. Well tried, it looked more like a reverse seizure. He dropped his pants just enough to show a SpongeBob boxer short waistband and shouted, "Brew, look. I got London drip." The guard blinked. Just once. It was subtle, but it was there. Speed saw it. Oh, he's alive. I saw it. He blinked. I win. He ran in a circle, arms flailing like an inflatable car dealership tube man having a panic attack. He blinked, chat. He blinked. I'm him. And then, the guard took a step. A single, sharp, military-grade stomp forward. The sound echoed like thunder. The tourists gasped. A child cried. An elderly man dropped his souvenir magnet and whispered, "The prophecy." Speed froze. then screamed. Ayo, he moving. Why he movin', brew? He coming for me. Speed took off running, full sprint, around the gates like he'd just seen a Dementor. But the guard didn't follow. He simply repositioned himself, went back to being stone. Speed, sweating, panting, practically melting from pure adrenaline, collapsed onto a bench like he'd just finished a UFC bout with God. Why he built like that? Why he so scary and British, bro? A group of American tourists applauded. One British woman sipped her tea and said, "Best performance I've seen in years. Better than The Crown." But Speed wasn't done. He was just getting warmed up. He pulled out a portable Bluetooth speaker, the size of a car battery. He cranked the volume to "Illegal in 14 countries" and hit play. Suddenly, the square was filled with the sound of musical note, "Who let the dogs out?" Musical note. Speed danced like his life depended on it. He attempted the worm, then barked at a corgi, then tried to get the corgi to bark at the guard. Sick little man. Show him what America made. The corgi ignored him. The guard ignored him harder. Even the tourists started to wonder if Speed was okay. Then, without warning, Speed dropped into a full British accent. "Hello, governor. Fancy a cup of tea? What? Cheers, mate. Bangers and mash. In it, bruv." He lifted an actual tea bag he found in his pocket and held it up to the guard. "This your power source? You drink this to stay cold inside?" "Phil, nothing." Speed knelt before the guard. He whispered like he was in a sacred temple. "Bro, you won. I admit it. You a real one. You the final boss. I got beat by British silence." He stood up dramatically, turned to the crowd, and held both arms high. "Ladies and gentlemen, this man right here is the greatest NPC of all time." The crowd cheered. Even a nearby mounted police officer cracked a smile. Someone gave Speed a miniature Union Jack flag. He waved it like he'd just been knighted. "I ain't even mad, bro. You stole my show. You stole my heart." And then, he tried one last thing. One final stunt. Speed pulled out a fake engagement ring. "If I can't make you laugh, will you at least marry me?" He dropped to one knee. The guard blinked. Again. Speed gasped so loud a nearby pigeon fell over. "That's twice. 2 blinks. He in love, brew." The video cut to black. When we last left our hero, I Show Speed had just proposed marriage to a fully silent royal guard. The man blinked. Twice. Speed interpreted it as love. The tourists interpreted it as a historic diplomatic event. But now, 17 minutes after his first bro, Speed was pacing. Not walking. Not jogging. Pacing like a man plotting to steal the Declaration of Independence. Chat. He blinked. Twice. That means something. That means he likes me. That means... He paused. Looked directly into his phone camera. Eyes wide with cracked glass intensity. "He's got a crush on me, bro. A literal royal crush. I'm 'bout to be a prince." The chat exploded. Prince Speed started trending on Twitter within 8 minutes. Someone photoshopped a crown on his head and tagged it Speed Ward of House Bark. Then everything changed. Because a security guard, not the royal kind, just a regular red-vested bloke with a walkie-talkie and a limp, walked over and said the most dangerous words a human could ever say to Speed. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down." Speed froze. His pupils dilated. A pigeon landed next to him and immediately flew away. Even it knew. "Calm. You want me to calm down? Bro, I'm built different. I was born screaming. I came out the womb barking." And then he barked. Loud. At the security guard. The security guard blinked twice and backed away like he'd just seen a poltergeist with abs. Back to the royal guard. Still silent. Still a statue. still ignoring every molecule of Speed's existence. So, naturally, Speed decided it was time to raise the stakes. He pulled out a megaphone. No one knows where he got it. Rumors say it materialized from pure chaos energy. Others claim he looted it from a mime who snapped. But there it was. Speed turned it on. A high-pitched whine pierced the air. Brrr. Can you hear me now? Do you feel me inside your brain? The megaphone screeched again. Dogs in nearby neighborhoods began howling. A fish vendor cursed in Welsh. 2 tourists took off their headphones in surrender. And still, the guard stood still. Speed was now spiraling. He dropped to the floor. He started army crawling toward the guard like a wartime journalist with no plan. Each shuffle was paired with a bark. Bark, bark, bark. I'm gonna crack you, bro. I'm in your head. I'm the voice in your helmet. The tourists were filming everything. And then, Speed pulled out a corn dog. Not a hot dog. Not a proper British sausage roll. No, a corn dog. From his cargo pants. Perfectly preserved. Possibly radioactive. You see this? This isn't food. This is diplomacy. He waved it like it was a scroll of peace from another kingdom. Then took a bite and made direct eye contact with the guard. You gonna break, bro. You gonna crack. Everyone cracks for the corn dog. The crowd was howling. Some people were crying from laughter. Others from confusion. One man FaceTimed his grandma in Ohio just to show her what America's youth has become. But Speed had something new planned. A flash mob. Yes. Out of nowhere, a Bluetooth speaker blasted Party Rock Anthem. And 12 teenagers in banana costumes, where did they come from? Began dancing in sync. Speed joined them. Not in sync. Not on beat. But with such reckless enthusiasm, the Queen's portrait reportedly frowned in its frame back at Windsor. Every day I'm shuffling. Bro, I'm a banana too. He stuffed the corn dog into his shirt like a makeshift fruit baby and began twerking in front of the royal guard. Twerk battle. Accept the challenge. This is your destiny. Still nothing. But then, finally, the guard coughed. One cough. Just a little one. And Speed absolutely detonated. That's a noise. That's a sound. He's cracking. Speed dropped to his knees like he'd just discovered Atlantis. He screamed. He rolled. He did snow angels on the cement. I won. I beat the British Empire. Freedom rings again. But then, it happened. The guard took a breath. Then, without breaking eye contact, he reached into his coat. Slow. Purposeful. Tourists gasped. A woman fainted. Someone yelled, God save the king. Speed backed up. Ayo, what he pullin'? What he got? He got the Glocky. But it wasn't a weapon. It was a tiny red velvet pouch. And inside it, a single tea bag. The guard held it out in complete silence. Speed stared, then whispered, Is that your power? Is that what makes you uncrackable? The guard didn't blink. Speed reached out, took the tea bag with reverence. He clutched it to his chest like it was the Holy Grail. I will honor this gift. I will not misuse it. I will never question British silence again. And then, the guard smirked. Just a little. A twitch. A slight curl of the lip. But it was there. Speed collapsed. He smiled. He smiled. Bro, end the video. We done. I can't top this. He ripped off his bandana, threw it into the air, and let out one final, beautiful, world-shattering. Bro. It was the kind of morning that seemed normal. Clouds drifting lazily above Buckingham Palace. Tourists sipping overpriced lattes. Royal guards standing like statues, unbothered by the swirl of global nonsense around them. But in one corner of the palace grounds, beneath a bronze statue of Queen Victoria. A storm was brewing. That storm was Speed. Wearing a custom-made hoodie that read "Bark like a Royal," oversized Balenciaga shades, and socks with corgi faces on them, Speed was pacing like a man who had just seen the face of God and barked at it. He had one thing in his hand, the golden tea bag gifted to him by the previously emotionless royal guard. He stared at it like it was the Infinity Gauntlet. Chat, I ain't ever felt this kind of power before. Like, this tea? This ain't normal tea. This the tea of kings. This tea got secrets in it. He sniffed it. His eyes rolled back. This smells like respect, like tradition, like British discipline and expensive jam. The tourists just stared. A couple from Idaho whispered, "Is that the same guy who made the guard blink?" A kid pointed and said, "That's the dude from Fortnite." A British grandma squinted and muttered, "He's a bit loud for my tastes, but I'd vote for him." Police car light the offer. Suddenly, a sleek black vehicle with a royal crest pulled up. Two men in suits stepped out. One was carrying an envelope sealed with wax. The other looked like he hadn't blinked since the Queen was born. They approached Speed cautiously, like someone approaching a wild animal that just learned to use nunchucks. "Mr. Speed," the older agent began, adjusting his sunglasses even though there was no sun. "You. Who are you?" "You got that MI6 Energy BRO," Speed replied, already circling the man like a shark hyped up on Red Bull. "His Majesty has seen the footage, the blink, the bark, the backflop. You, sir, have impressed the crown." The crowd gasped. Speed gasped harder. "Ayo. Wait. Hold up. Is this what I think it is?" The agent handed over the envelope. "By royal decree, you are hereby invited to undergo ceremonial training, to join the ranks of the Royal Guard." Silence. A woman dropped her phone. A man fainted. A pigeon exploded, possibly unrelated. And Speed. Speed screamed so loud, several car alarms in the Greater London area went off. "I'm gonna be a royal NPC. I'm finna guard the Queen's house. I'm him." Man lifting weights training day. Montage time. Royal Guard training, Speed style. A scene, Speed saluting with both hands, then his foot, then randomly breakdancing while yelling, "Disrespectfully disciplined." A scene, Speed trying to balance the bearskin hat, only to have it spin 360 degrees on his head like a ceiling fan. A scene, push-ups. 1. Half of 1. Collapse. Crawl. Bark. A scene, marching in line, while dabbing with every step. A scene, Speed confused at British military terms. "Wait, Lieutenant." "Bro, you mean Lieutenant." The drill sergeant screamed. Speed screamed louder. The sergeant blinked. "Feed. I win again, brew." Military medal, graduation. After what could only be described as the most chaotic 3 hours in British military history, Speed stood proudly in the official red uniform. Crocs still on, but spray-painted black for regulation. A medal pinned crookedly to his chest that read, "Provisional Guard, Extreme." He saluted the crowd. He saluted the pigeons. He saluted a random squirrel. Then he saluted himself. "I'm a guard now, bro. I'm uncrackable. I'm literally a London Wall with abs." Eye's first shift begins. He took his position right next to the original Royal Guard, the man who once blinked twice and caused a meme-based revolution. They stood side by side, one still as granite, the other vibrating like a microwave filled with bees. "I'm gonna stand so still, they'll think I'm a wax figure, bro. Madame Tussauds who?" For 11 seconds, he didn't move. On second 12, he sneezed. Then shouted, "That's not my fault, bro, that's pollen." The original guard didn't react. "He built different," Speed whispered. "I must train harder." Croissant the France incident. Then, it happened. A tourist walked up to the gate. French accent. Blue scarf. Holding a pastry. He smiled politely and said, "Bonjour. Très belle journée, eh pas?" Speed's eyes locked onto the croissant. His hands trembled. "Is that a French pastry on British soil? Unauthorized?" He barked. The man stepped back, confused. "Pardon?" Speed's voice dropped into mock seriousness. "That's it. That's an act of war. I hereby declare a bread-based conflict." He pointed at the sky. "Operation Baguette Strike begins now." The crowd screamed. Tourists ran. Someone yelled, "Not again." An old woman clutched her pearls and whispered, "That boy's declaring war on continental Europe." Speed turned to the royal guard. "You heard me. We mob in." The guard did not respond, but one pigeon landed on Speed's shoulder. That was enough. Police car light damage control. Within 3 minutes, royal officials swarmed the scene. One held a literal peace flag. "Sir, Speed, please. You cannot unilaterally declare war." "Not again." Speed pouted. "I thought I had rank." "You have honorary rank. Like symbolic. It's for TikTok." "Oh, you mean I'm just a prop?" A corgi barked in agreement. Speed sighed. "Fine. No war. But he gotta share that croissant." The French tourist broke off a piece. Handed it to Speed. He sniffed it. Bit it. It's fire. War cancelled." Clapperboard the final 10 seconds. Speed saluted one last time. Turned to the crowd. "I may not be the most quiet. I may not be the most still. But I swear to protect this palace with the power of bark, memes, and pastries. Long live the crown." The royal guard blinked. Once. Speed gasped. He blinked again. "I ain't even do nothing. We're sinking. We're literally brothers now." Cue dramatic music. Text on screen. The sun was shining over Buckingham Palace, but inside the grand halls, tension was rising. Speed, fresh off his chaotic induction into the royal guard, had just received an unexpected invitation that would change everything. A summons to Parliament. Yes, Parliament. That ancient, stuffy institution known for long speeches, powdered wigs, and the occasional dramatic fist pound. But today, it was about to get a whole lot louder, a whole lot crazier, and of course, way more meme-worthy. Dressed in his trademark black spray-painted Crocs, oversized red ceremonial coat, and his signature sunglasses, Speed wasn't exactly blending in with the sea of prim and proper lords and ladies. His entrance caused whispers to ripple through the marble corridors, heads turning as if a rock star had just walked into an opera house. Cameras flashed. His phone buzzed with notifications from fans already speculating what would happen next. As he entered the chamber, Speed's eyes widened. The room was massive, adorned with centuries-old portraits, golden chandeliers dripping like melted honey, and seats filled with some of the most powerful and most bored people in Britain. The Speaker of the House, a tall man with a stern face and a wig so white it could be mistaken for a cloud, tapped his gavel sharply. The murmurs turned into silence. "Right Honorable Speed," the Speaker intoned. "You may address the chamber." Speed took a deep breath, his signature smirk spreading across his face. He could feel the eyes of every noble on him, some skeptical, some amused, some already secretly recording on their smartphones. The silence was deafening. "Ladies, gentlemen, lords, and whoever's running the Wi-Fi here," Speed began, throwing up his hands in theatrical flair. "I come before you as a man who's seen the power of tea, the loyalty of corgis, and the strength of a well-timed meme. I'm here not just to stand guard but to stand up for the crown, and for the culture." The chamber erupted into a mix of confused murmurs and hesitant applause. Speed continued, energized now. "Look, I might be the loudest royal guard in history, and yeah, maybe I declared war on France over a croissant," he admitted with a grin. "But did I do damage? Nope. I brought people together, from London to LA to Paris, all because we shared a laugh, a bark, and a dance." The speaker nodded solemnly, though some members looked as if they were trying to figure out how to mute the entire chamber. Just as Speed was about to drop his famous catchphrase, The building suddenly shook with a loud commotion from outside. Heads turned. The chamber doors burst open, and in trotted a squad of the Queen's Corgis, wearing tiny berets, sunglasses, and brandishing spatulas like sabers. Their leader, Sir Wigglebottom, barked orders in rapid-fire yips, rallying the pups who had, quite literally, taken over the royal food truck parked just outside. Speed's phone lit up like a Christmas tree with emergency alerts. Corgi Rebellion in progress. Immediate action required. Without missing a beat, Speed flipped on his front camera and went live. Yo, chat. The Corgis have gone full coup. They're demanding bacon treats, Wi-Fi passwords, and apparently, world domination. Someone send doggo diplomacy ASAP. This is not a drill. The streaming numbers skyrocketed. Fans flooded the chat with "bork" and "lit" emojis. Rushing outside, Speed was met with a sight that could only be described as adorable chaos. Dozens of fluffy corgis had barricaded the palace gates with tea trays and crumpets, their tiny heads held high in fierce determination. Speed didn't hesitate. He brandished a box of bacon-flavored dog treats like a peace offering, a royal teapot in one hand and an emergency squeaky toy in the other. "Listen up, my furry revolutionaries," he shouted. "I know you want your snacks and your Wi-Fi, but tearing up the palace isn't the answer. Let's negotiate. I bring you peace, treats, and all the belly rubs you can handle." Sir Wigglebottom approached, nose twitching suspiciously as he sniffed the bacon treats. After what felt like an eternity, the corgi gave a slow, dignified wag of approval. The spatulas were dropped. The barricade was lifted. Peace was restored. Back inside, Speed's antics were causing ripples. The Queen's official TikTok posted a duet with Speed's "Bark Challenge," garnering millions of views within minutes. King Charles, ever the traditionalist, was seen attempting the tea bag dance, which ended with him accidentally knocking over a priceless vase, an incident captured and memed worldwide before the palace staff could intervene. Speed stood triumphant in front of the palace, crown tilted jauntily, Crocs gleaming. "I came. I barked. I memed. And together, we saved the crown and the corgis," he proclaimed. The original royal guard gave a rare blink. Twice. Speed smiled wide. "We're officially bros now." Just then, King Charles leaned out of a window, looking genuinely curious. "Young man," he said, "I have one question." "Yes, Your Majesty?" Speed replied eagerly. "What in the world is a Rizzler?" Speed grinned. "Come down here, I'll show you." And with that, the palace erupted in laughter, music, and the faint sound of corgis barking in unison. The palace gardens had transformed overnight into a spectacle unlike anything Buckingham had ever seen. Streamers hung from the ancient oaks, flags waved bearing the royal crest alongside goofy corgi paw prints, and a stage, complete with a sound system that looked suspiciously borrowed from a local street festival, had been erected right in front of the Queen Victoria statue. Tourists, palace staff, and a smattering of royal dignitaries gathered, buzzing with anticipation. The event. A bark-off, a battle of wits, bark, and dance moves between Speed, the internet-famous loudmouth who had somehow wormed his way into royal tradition, and King Charles himself, who was rumored to have been secretly taking dance lessons for weeks. Speed paced backstage, warming up by doing push-ups, or at least what looked like very loud and dramatic attempts at push-ups. His black spray-painted Crocs gleamed in the sunlight as he did a quick warm-up bark that echoed off the palace walls. Behind him, the royal guard stood stiff as ever, faces expressionless, but eyes betraying a hint of curiosity and amusement. Suddenly, a group of corgis trotted up, led by none other than Sir Wigglebottom, wearing a tiny glittering crown made of tinsel and a red velvet cape. Sir Wigglebottom barked sharply, rallying the pups into formation. They were ready to perform, and maybe, just maybe, steal the show. The MC, a surprisingly energetic palace aide wearing a headset and an ill-fitting tuxedo jacket, stepped onto the stage, mic in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen, lords and ladies, dogs and humans alike. Welcome to the very first royal bark-off. Tonight's contest will decide who truly rules the palace, not by law, but by skill, style, and sheer meme power." The crowd erupted in cheers and camera flashes. First up was Speed. He stepped into the spotlight with exaggerated confidence. "Yo, yo, yo. The internet's loudest royal in the house, he shouted, flashing a grin. He launched into his signature mimetic bark, a sequence of rapid barks, backflips, and a comedic imitation of a corgi shaking off rain. The crowd laughed and hooted. Several tourists filmed on their phones, already imagining the viral clips to come. Then it was King Charles's turn. The king stepped up, cleared his throat, and in a surprising move, executed a smooth tea bag dance that was part old-school ballroom, part dad joke. The corgis stopped mid-bark, ears perked. The crowd gasped. The king's moves were surprisingly nimble, even managing a twirl that caused his ceremonial sash to flutter dramatically. Backstage, Speed looked impressed, then fired off a mock, "You ain't ready for this" bark. The judges, consisting of the Speaker of the House, a famous British comedian, and the Queen's personal chef, who just wanted free snacks, deliberated loudly, making exaggerated gestures and whispers. Just as Speed was about to launch into his next move, the corgis suddenly charged the stage. Sir Wigglebottom led a perfectly choreographed pack dance, complete with tail wags, synchronized howls, and a comically fierce spatula wave. The crowd went wild, some tourists screaming in delight, others joining in by barking and clapping. King Charles laughed heartily and stepped over to Speed, clapping him on the shoulder. "Well played, Speed," he said with a smile. "I think the crown's big enough for both of us, and these four-legged friends too." Speed grinned back. "Your Majesty, we just turned the palace into the internet's hottest show. Who needs Parliament when you've got memes and puppies?" The event's hashtag